Our string of current F1 tracks brings us to Barcelona. In fact, this place has become quite synonymous with F1 due to the copious amounts of testing the teams do here. But will our sim racers be as familiar? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. You'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes, our director, Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Barcelona was the first Spanish track to arrive on iRacing, so let's get a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open-wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower-tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile-long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get a pass done. After that, your next hope might be into Lakaja, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europe car corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day. Well, the good news is we don't have modern F1 cars with all the aero to kind of give that aero wash to them, Joey. This is going to be a little bit more of a straightforward fight here.
It will be. It's kind of the outer layout, call it, of Catalunya out here. As you see, 13 turns, 2.93 miles or 4.72 kilometers, and first opened back in 1991. You see the huge front straightaway here leading down into a good-sized brake zone into turn number 1, but it actually flows very nicely into that 1-2 complex. So if you don't get the move cleared into 1, you can kind of have a back-and-forth fight all the way up to that turn 4 Repsol corner. Then there's actually a little bit of some elevation there between 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Climb the hill up to 9. That's going to be an interesting corner to watch all day long. It's actually a very fast right-hander through there, so got to make sure to keep all 4 wheels on the pavement, not to go too far out drivers left on exit. Turn number 10 is that kind of that reprofiled corner down there, another passing opportunity, and then of course we end out sector 3 with no chicanes here, flat out from 12 to 13. These cars will have to get on the brakes for 13, so manage the throttle through that final corner to get the run out on the front straightaway here.
Really the only long straight that we've got other than the run down to Lakaja there at turn 10, so it's going to be fascinating, that is for sure, to see what the passing looks like today, especially with a fascinating championship starting to develop, because we saw Andreas Valenteus take another win, and that puts him up at the top now over, interestingly, Mick Claridge, who hasn't won yet, but he has not been off the podium. The only driver to have done that so far this season. Jorge Nieva behind him by about 13 points. Unfortunately, was not able to make up a good race last time out. Let's see if he can rebound from that. Same thing with Togo Hisada, probably looking to try and come back after he had a poor qualifying over in Austria. Kind of that mired him back in the field a little bit. From there, you've got your typical battle amongst the top 10. Kevin Verbruggen, one to watch out for. He jumps up with his first podium of the season into the top 10. He's going to try and see if he can carry that momentum a little bit farther on, as he's looking very fast today as well. But let's look at the F2 standings while we've got this up.
Yeah, it's still very, very tight through the opening 3 rounds of this F2 point standings. Right now, Roberto Pengrazi leads narrowly 3 points over Tobias Harmvey. Jem Matson only 5 points behind Pengrazi out of first place there. And don't count out Alan Graham. He's just trying to kind of tag along to that podium fight, as well as Jonathan Jordan, only 2 points behind Alan there. Then there's a little bit of a gap, but as you see, it is not much after that gap. Banerjee, Summers, Tuba Brower, and Willershausen, only about 10 points, 9 points separate those 6 drivers.
Of course, they also run a Nations Cup in this series, and that is Going to be a little bit similar to what you see in the drivers' standings for F1 this early in the season, but it'll start to get more and more jumbled up as we get more drivers competing. Lithuania with Audrius Valenteus leading the charge there, only 4 points ahead of the UK currently. Of course, McLaren's doing a lot for them, but they are definitely one of the bigger groups to come and compete here. Them, the United States, two of the largest contingent that you're going to get typically. The Spaniards, though, about a couple years ago, they started to really become a major factor in both the Drivers' Championship and the Nations Cup. And of course, they're sitting in third for the time being. Other than that, watch out for Japan to maybe rebound a little bit. Togo usually gives a lot of the points for that. Maybe Italy with Nicola Kaki often coming in and contributing a lot of points to that group. Why don't we go through, though, a few of the race details in case we got some newcomers, Joey?
Yeah, well, it is round 4 of the 12 race season out here. We're going to be doing 20 laps around Catalunya. And then, as always, it is an open setup series, so you get to open up that garage tab, you get to tweak and tune on the car to make sure it's driving exactly how you need it around this Spanish track. There's no spare cars, so if you pick up any damage, well, guess what? You got to live with it out there. A drive-through penalty at 17 incident points. Disqualification at 25 incident points. Now, here at Catalunya, there is tons of runoff and paved runoff in a lot of areas, so you can kind of save yourself and rack up those incident points, but you do not want to go barreling into your competitors out here, especially with these fragile open-wheel cars.
Yeah, trying to keep from tangling one another, probably going to be one of the more important aspects. Yeah, we keep talking about modern F1 versus these cars. The 60s machinery takes a little bit longer to get around this track as we still don't have our first lap times on the board. But qualifying could still be very important, much like in real life, because while they don't have to worry about following closely being as difficult, getting those passes done from our past attempts at racing here, Joey, is still, it seems, somewhat difficult trying to make those overtakes.
You have to kind of set it up a few corners in advance, maybe try to force a competitor off of the racing line just a little bit, and then you're able to kind of open the door that little bit more. These are the last couple corners here. That was turn 12, and then this is turn 13. You notice that we're not doing that slow F1 style chicane, so it almost limits the amount of mistakes and limits the amount of drive that you can get off of that final corner. McLaren throws down a lap that's good enough for P2. Zamaloa on top of the board currently.
Interesting. All right. So Oye could be a quick one. Same thing with Nicola Kaki. He now goes to the top, but usually Valenteus tends to wait until late to set his times. Looks like he'll be coming around in a bit for that first lap completed. Seb Tixier, who has been having a bit of a miserable season, still yet to set his first time. And, well, it looks like he heard your cries, and your face is back on there, Joey.
Well, I'm happy that Mick is up there, too. I mean, he has got two faces that, guess what? If Seb makes any mistakes, he can pull up that VR, and he's got to have two scolding voices right at him.
Exactly. Motivation to keep him going quick out on track. And as he comes around the final corner, let's see what Tixier's got for a lap time here. His qualifying has been his undoing lately, and it's a 44.4. That's good enough for 7th. That's not too bad. I'm sure he could do a little bit better than that on his quali, but we'll watch and see what that second lap time looks like. Now, where is Valenteus? So it looks like he did not set his first lap. He was on his out lap last time, so he's going to push it right down to the end of this session.
See what he can do with this here. The number 2 car is now completing his final lap. Just a couple more corners here for Oye. See if he can improve on his lap time. Remember, he was provisional pole for a slight amount of time there at a 143.79. He's got to beat a 7.0, and he does it straight to the top, a 143.33. We'll see if Nicola can respond.
In fact, it's going to be pretty quick here as Claridge does. He goes up to the front row, at least for the time being. Kundelis is up to third, but Kaki's second lap unfortunately got deleted. He must have gone beyond the boundaries just a little bit somewhere. That's going to be gutting considering he was at the top for quite a bit of time.
What I find interesting right here, Joe, is I don't think that Valenteus can get around in order to start another lap. Maybe he can here. Turn 13, Looks like he's going to have about 10 seconds for the sprint to the line to hopefully get a second qualifying lap here. Let's see what the first one puts down, a 143.4. That should be good enough for the front row. I'm sorry, third place, just behind Mick Claridge.
They are tied to the 1,000th. Wow. And Audrey still has another go at things, so he could still improve. Does seem like a lot of drivers are going faster on the second time around. Interesting to note that after I had made a mental note the previous couple of weeks, that Togo Hisada has an incredible amount of poles. These last two races, he's not been looking as hot. He was a little bit far down in Austria, and now here in Spain, he's only good enough for 6 right now, but he's about 4/10 off the pole time in 6th place, so it's tight up at the top.
I'm going to go back and mention that track position that you kind of started qualifying with, right? Oh, look at Togo. He's going to get too loose and spin the car around. That's in that turn 11 corner, one of the slower corners where it's a little bit more tedious, and he's going to have to settle for probably a 6th place starting position. And in fact, our provisional pole sitter made a little bit of a mistake right there as well. Andreas is not going to complete his second timed lap.
No, he had a big slide there coming off of Vert, so that cost him enough, and he parked it pretty much immediately. Jack Wells, 30 seconds to try to get around to the timing line. I think he should have enough here to get to it, because it's very early on the start-finish straight, as this is the final corner now, and he needs this time because the first lap got deleted. So what's it going to be? A 46.1. Good enough for 26, which unfortunately for him is the last of those who've set a time. But 27 cars since they have a split field today, so you won't have to be going through a whole 53, which is, I think, how many showed up.
Saw Juan Rodriguez have a little bit of issue there. Qualifying is officially clicking down, and we will have your starting grid pop up on the screen here momentarily. I think there are a few little shakeups in there.
Yeah, certainly, and pretty stacked field here today as I look through our iRating. But at the top of it, Oye Zamaloa takes the pole over Mick Claridge, with Andreas Valenteus only good enough for 3rd. But we've seen he's fought from the very back before in other series. I'm sure he'll have no problem starting from P3. Kundalis, 4th for him, as Nikola Kaki starts in the P5. Toku Hisada, a mistake on the second lap means he's mired down in 6th. Verbruggen, only 7th today, although, as we heard, there has been some warnings from drivers that he's quick, as Bill Tyler starts 8th, Sequeiro 9th, and Nieva, only a top 10 start for him.
And then back here in 11th, Seb Tixier, maybe he swapped in a Rolls-Royce Merlin motor inside that Lotus there. Then next to him is going to be Raul Guardia in 12th place. Gary Ho is going to be starting 13th. John Olsen in 14th. Juan Rodriguez back here in 15th. Xavier Sanchez all the way back in 16th. Robert Plumley 17th. Steve Morris 18th. Ove Trengrade 19th. And Marco Salgado rounding out your top 20.
21st goes to David Rossi, with Aku Liski down in 22nd. Santa Maria will be P23. Anna Fechner returns in at 24th. And John Pethick in at 25th. Jack Wells, the last set of time, 26. Jason Clapper, going to be doing his traditional run from the back of the field. It's the middle of the day here, but it's not too hot at this time of year here in Barcelona, so conditions should be good for finding some grip. And we just about have everybody on the grid. We're waiting on Xavier Sanchez. Heike 360 joining us once again, but not as high up as we've seen him. He usually is in the top 10. He's way down in 16th here today. Hopefully his fans can help urge him on, as the lights are now up and the engines begin to rev for round 4 in the Grand Prix Legends Series, and the green flag is out. Zamaloa with a great start off the line. He is pulling away immediately, while Mick Claridge seems to be floundering a little bit. Valenteus already looking around the outside as they come down into Elf, and this could be critical. Who's going to be aggressive into the first corner to get that track position? Valenteus is trying it. He's going to be on the wrong side unless he can cut him off. He tries to, and he is ahead. 2nd place for the number 1 car.
Yeah, is able to clear Mick Claridge there crucially through that turn 1 and 2 complex, but now that red number 4 is going to have an inside look going into turn number 4 here, and I think that's Nikola Kaki in that bright green lime number 8 car that stuck out on the outside, but now the track flips back around. Careful, this is a downhill brake zone.
I believe that's Kundalus in the bright green, traditional colors for him, and he's doing a great job up there in the fourth. He does show up every once in a while in this series, but he's not necessarily a regular like some of these guys. Cocky behind him, definitely a regular. He's going to want to try and sneak past him as quickly as he can, as now they come up into campus and head towards perhaps one of the other few passing zones, Lakaija.
Looks like for the most part, everybody keeps it on the racetrack up over that fast turn number 9. And here comes Andreas with a look down to the inside. Not quite close enough to get the pass done, but he is already putting the pressure on our leader in that white number 2 car.
Trying to think if we've seen Zamaloa versus Valenteus in the past. We probably have at some point. But Andreas now has someone new to try and fight against up at the top spot. Both of them taking very different lines into Europe car. Now out the final corner, looking to try and get the throttle down. It's very close for Valenteus. He's got a good shot at it.
He might have started on the second row, but he is going to accelerate into the lead on the front straightaway to start lap number 2. Let's see if he can hang on to it in the brake zone. Should be pretty textbook, and sure enough, that number 2 car just going to tuck right back in the tire tracks.
What strikes me about that is it's only lap 2, and Oye did not fight that very hard. I would have thought he'd at least try to defend the position a bit going into the corner, but he held the racing line. He let Andreas through, and now they have swapped around. This meant that McClarridge has been able to keep up with the pair of them. If he can stay in touch, that might be job 1 for him.
I've noticed that our second place car now, or is just kind of maybe overdriving the car a touch in the first opening lap, and that's really why Andreas was able to take advantage, especially in sector number 3. It might be one of those situations, Joe, where guess what? Andreas didn't put down his fastest qualifying lap. Go learn a thing or two behind him.
Interesting. Yeah, that could be. I think we had a couple cars with some issues. Bruno Santamaria won. I think Gary Ho also had a little bit of an off, both of them losing multiple places on this lap. Nick Cocky is back where he started in this race, sitting in 5th place, but he's attacking and defending at the same time. You can see he's got Togo Hisada behind him and Arturas Kundalis just in front of him. He's having to have chameleon eyes right now.
I don't think that Togo probably appreciated too much that move back over onto the racing line into the brake zone. I think that white number 6 car had to take some evasive action and actually almost drove himself off into the grass trying to avoid. But now you see Cocky with a really nice line through turn number 13, but Kundalis is able to put the power down, and that serpentine, the snake down the front straightaway, like what we see out of Indy cars on ovals, has begun here. And I just checked the speed, 190 miles an hour before they jump on the brakes into turn 1.
Whew. Yeah, these things are a rocket ship once you get on the loud pedal, as we get some good battling in the mid-pack. This is down for about 15th or 14th as Robert Plumlee leads the group.
I'm sorry. I just saw Valenteus dropping through the board, but he's got an internet connection issue. He's back up top.
Too, yeah. I had the same sort of, oh, wait, there's a bunch of red on my screen. But yeah, it's seems to be just, his connection going poorly, as that was way wide from Sanchez back there in 15th, coming down through Repsol, but he gathers it back up. We're going to check back in with Cocky once again, and he still has Arturas Kundalis in front of him, plugging up the way. Arturas going to make this quite a bit of a fight, but this should be fun because Nicola, I would say, drives like he talks. He is very fast, and he's also very unrelenting.
Well, here's an opportunity later on the brakes. So he's going to go a little bit deeper than Kundalis, and now he's got the shorter distance around. Think about an autocross line with how long these corners are, but now the track fades back again. 2 drivers right for turn 11, and you see almost some contact. Let's see if Nicola can put the power down. They both spin up the rear tires. Kundalis kind of right in the middle of the road.
Boy, this is going to be a brawl between these two, and throw in Hisada, who can be feisty in his own right. This is going to be fun, and it's only for 4th. It's not even for a podium position between our drivers as they all get on the right pedal once again, coming off the final turn. It's a good run for Nicola. Kundalis at first defends, comes back to the racing line. Cocky giving it a big look down to the inside. He's given space at the first apex, but he's not fully there, and he's going to get faded out as Arturas once again holds P4.
Great racing from the number 8 and the number 5, though, because Arturas saw Nicola going down to the inside. He left him space, and that's exactly what we want to see is great racecraft. And I think just kind of the general trend is, oh my gosh, they both overshot the corner there. Here comes Togo Asada trying to sneak up the inside, but once again, this track just goes back, left, right, left, right. Nicola Cocky sends it in. He's going to spin out, give away a few positions.
Oh, he's off to the side. It looks like maybe Lewis Sequeiro had a slide in sympathy. Both of them off the course just at the exit of Seat. And now it is Hisada who is going to give his go at Koundalis to see if he can take that fourth place away. But watch out, because Kevin Verbruggen is also with him. There's Cocky back in 10th position after that mistake. He is going to be kicking himself.
He will be, but I do think that he has plenty of pace out here, and we're only in the first quarter of the race. Shake it off, right? Just throw that mistake out the window. Focus forward, put your visor down, get back to work. These guys are not that far up the road, and the way that Togo is fighting Arturis, they're slowing each other up still.
Yeah, they've dropped off of Mick Claridge significantly. I said hit job one for him, going to be holding on to that front group. I guess you could say job two is trying to run away from those behind, and maybe job three will be eventually an overtake if he can get close enough. But for now, we continue to watch this fight for fourth as Koundalis and Hisada go wheel to wheel down to the first turn. This time, Arturis will defend the inside, take that apex away. Togo tries the over-under, but no dice. Verbruggen now in that popcorn seat, watching, waiting for an opening like Togo managed to get last lap.
These next two corners is where Koundalis and also Cocky overdrove the car, and here goes Togo. He's going to take a look, force the car all the way up next to Arturis here in turn number 4, and now he's going to have the shorter distance, but once again, Koundalis on the racing line going into what is turn number 5. Togo is going to be hung out to dry. In fact, a little bit of contact. He barely keeps the thing on the pavement, and here comes Verbruggen. He's going to try to potentially make it 3 wide. What a race going on here for what is 4th place.
Oh, my goodness. They may as well have been in France. All three of them were nowhere near the apex going through Seat. They were each driving it as deep as they dared into there to try and defend it. It worked out, at least for Koundalis, but how much longer will it work out? Because Hisada is climbing all over the back of him now. Once again, trying to go the long way. This is going to leave him vulnerable for Verbruggen each time trying to get his foot through the door. Whenever Togo leaves that open, and it's just not there. He's still side by side with Koundalis, now coming through Bonk Sabadell, and it unfortunately can't get the throttle down off the corner. Jorge Nieva, he joins the fray now. Look at this, 4 cars.
Not even Nieva, but includes Seb Tixier and Bill Tyler as well. We've got 5 cars battling for 4th place. I expect to see a defensive move out of this green number 8 car. It's right in the middle of the road. Togo Asada goes even further down to the inside. Can he outbrake Koundalis? We've seen Arturis be such a tough customer to try to get by. Still, side by side, that white and red number 6, though, is going to have the inside, the shorter distance through turn number 3. Can he accelerate and finally clear him for 4th place? Arturis still fighting back.
He is not taking anything from Togo Hisada. He's going to defend till the sun goes down here. Unfortunately, way wide coming through Repsol might be the thing that seals the deal. Nope, he's still with it. Coming down into Seat. Are they going to be able to make the corner? Someone slides into them and somehow makes his way through Jorge Nieva. Oh no! Way off. Togo Hisada gets clipped and he barrel rolls into the barrier.
Dominoes. That is exactly how Togo Asada got out there, as Nieva into Koundalis into Hisada. I'm sure we'll get a replay because these 4 are still fighting for 4th place. It is still that lime green number 8 car at the front, but this time it is Seb Tixier using that Merlin motor. Let's see if he can stomp on the brakes here and get this pass done. Arturis has yet to let anybody by him.
Just a phenomenal job that he's been playing on defense. Tixier, though, multiple-time champion. He's going to be tough to try and hold back as he's got around the outside. Last driver that did that wound up on his lid, unfortunately. But he's given space. Got to watch out for those track limits. Contact once again. Just the slightest of contact between himself and Koundalis. And Verbruggen is going to try to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Kevin doesn't have a slipstream right now. He had a good run, but the slipstream all goes to Seb Tixier. He is one of the best on the brakes, but he does not challenge that lime green number 8, and instead, Koundelis was actually a little bit off of the racing line, and now Seb kind of balks himself through, goes Verbruggen.
Going to have to get out the big guns on that Spitfire liveried machine. And Verbruggen up to 5th now at this stage. 2 positions gained. Tixier up 5 from where he started. Watching his sim rig here with the onboard. It looks like he's going to get that back from Verbruggen once again into that 5th place. But as that happens, Koundelis tries to scoot away.
This has been wild for 4th place. I was thinking that, if these guys race too much, it's just going to get to be too big of a gap between themselves and our front runners, which it has become. But I don't care. This is the best action on the racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. The top 3 have just been kind of hovering in the same position. Claridge is dropping off of them just slightly, so unable to keep up, at least at this stage. Maybe that'll change as the race goes on. Big look up the inside from Seb. But Koundelis will deny him once again. 5 cars in a line. Koundelis, Tixier, Verbruggen, and Tyler, and wow, Kaki's still in there, actually.
Ooh, Verbruggen actually almost kind of overlapped with Tixier there, kind of in between the 10 and 11 corners. Thankfully, didn't make any contact. But when I see those lunges of speed, it shows me that a driver is fast, right? They've got something in their back pocket that maybe nobody else has. As we finally get this replay here of Seb Tixier, Jorge Nieva, you see going through the grass, avoiding contact from Koundelis, unfortunately puts him into Hisada, which then barrel rolls up into the tires.
Another attack into turn 1, and Tixier gave it his best shot, but can't seem to do it. And look at that, great placement from Arturis, just put it right exactly where Seb wanted to go and balked his momentum. This has been kind of a masterclass, if I'm honest, of the number 8 car.
What he's doing is he's leaving the front half of the corner, the door open, right? So people can kind of put the nose down to the inside, but he leaves it so far open that he's almost taking a rain line. And what I mean by that is he's so far out to the outside that he only focuses on the corner exit. And when you get that short shoot straightaway, there's nothing they can do but try to out-accelerate you, and you're already on the gas.
Really impressive stuff. These 4 just kind of sitting and waiting for something to happen, and a lot has happened in this group. We've seen so much mixing up. The only thing that's been consistent is Arturis staying in that P4 spot. You can see a look down the inside from Seb up ahead as we ride on board with Kaki and doing exactly what you just described, just a little bit to the outside, but it gives him the inside for the next corner into Bang Sabadell, using the nature of this circuit to beautiful effect because it's a triple right-hand corner this time, although maybe it finally is going to go the way of Seb Tixier. He's going to use that outside line to try and use the same effect, just accelerating that little bit sooner off the corner, and now it's a drag race. Good run here from Seb.
Watch out for Verbruggen. He's the one that's going to take it 3 wide all the way down to the inside. Can he get 2 for 1 in this single straightaway here? Koundelis deepest on the brakes. Tixier backs out of it. Verbruggen does pick up a position over Seb.
How is he holding on to this spot still? I can't believe it. It's just, it's flabbergasting, honestly, the tricks that he's finding to pull out each and every corner. Verbruggen back up in the 5th, where he has been a couple times, but hasn't been able to sneak by. Usually he loses it pretty quickly. Back to Tixier within quick succession. Wonder if we need maybe for Kaki to try and give a try at this, or maybe Bill Tyler needs to get in there as we get a little bit of a lockup. And was there some contact? I thought I saw the seat kind of jut forward on Seb's sim rig there.
Tixier definitely got into the back of Verbruggen, and because of that little stumble, and now he gets into the back of Kaki, spins him around, and unfortunately that's going to pretty much put the number 5 out of the race. Bill Tyler takes advantage as Seb Tixier's nose cone is trying to dislodge itself.
Finally leaves him, and that's going to hurt his straight line speed, that is for sure. Not a track where you need it as much, but on the one place where you can pass, down into Elf at turn 1, it's going to be a nightmare for him from now on. Back to 7th he goes. It's Verbruggen versus Koundelis on their own in that group. It went from 5 to 2 in just a couple corners.
Let's see if maybe just the little bit of a shakeup of no bodywork is what Seb Tixier maybe needed to kind of clear the brain a little bit and get one of these passes done. But I can't say enough about Arturas Kundelis. I mean, he just had 9-10 laps of absolute pressure and didn't crack.
Yep. The Spitfire was the bogey on his 6, but no more. He was able to shake him. And now there's just one more to try and get rid of as we check out Zamaloa and Valenteus. Now, the interesting thing about this is while they are still as they were, it looks like Oyer's caught up a bit and is starting to apply some pressure.
Definitely. He was about a half second back for those first 10 laps and now has kind of closed it in, whether that is being able to figure out how to drive this racetrack efficiently with the full fuel load, or if it's just the number 1 car struggling for pace. Either way, that white number 2 is applying pressure.
Yeah, if he's been studying things, he's been studying well. So here's the contact. Difficult to go too wide through this corner. And it almost looks like maybe Cocky took a little bit too much curb. I wonder if that set him off, and that's why he got into the back of him. Oh, as we got a car off back here. Is that Trangrade? Yes, indeed it is.
Yeah, I think I saw that black and orange number 11 out into the grass, as well as this fight for, I think this is for 12th here. Plumley is getting attacked from Gary Ho in this purple and yellow car down to the inside of turn number 10. Nieva is actually on the back of this as well. Gary with a big moment of counter steer right there, but does get past Plumley.
Nicola wound up back in this group after getting involved in that little bit of contact coming off the corner. Hard to get the throttle down there for Robert Plumley on that tighter line. That's what I find fascinating about these older cars without the arrow on them, is if you're at that tighter line trying to get that throttle down, it makes it so much harder.
And that's exactly what Arturas was able to do, right? He was able to accelerate away in that outer line. Nieva is going to take advantage of Gary Ho not having a slipstream here down into turn number 1. I expect this one to get through pretty easy. And you see Nicola Cocky also making the pass on Plumley just behind here. Well, Gary with a little bit of a stumble there, a little bit of a loose moment. But back to your point, I think that as long as you can use the motor in the back of these Lotuses, right? If you can get on the gas sooner than your opponent, that's what you need because it is so powerful.
It's made for some great racing, that is for sure. This track has delivered for these old F1 cars. And as they come down into the braking, very close to the back of Gary Ho, if you're Nicola Cocky. We're riding on board with Gary, watching with his VR setup and his motion rig, giving him the full experience in these old cars. Big slide behind them. That was Robert Plumley going a little bit deep into vert.
I got to tell you, Joe, I had to do a double take on that sim cockpit view because it looked almost identical to Seb's setup as well.
Right? I had the same problem. It was like, I thought we were watching Seb for a brief moment there. It even has the same steering wheel, that Lotus 49 steering wheel that you can buy online. These drivers, that tells you how devoted these drivers are to these cars. You become a fan as soon as you start to drive this thing and really figure it out. Oh, Plumley a bit wide off the corner. Rodriguez going to try to pick up the pieces from that one. 15th place maybe. He's got it halfway done, but way deep into the corner for Plumley. He is going to defend, get off the turn just as quick, and behind them, here comes Ove Trangarade.
Oh, but defensive from Rodriguez forces Trangrade into the middle of the racetrack. Who is bravest on the brakes? It's going to be the number 11, but now the Rodriguez car fights back and he stays on the racing line. Tremendous job there from Juan to keep under control, keep the car stopped, and pick up a place while going 3 wide.
Ove loves to have a good battle, so expect him to be enjoying this. Amongst these 3, Rodriguez still in front, as you said, in that 15th place. The more they fight, though, guess who's coming up behind them? Jason Clapper, about 5 seconds back on his traditional run to the front of the field, or at least as high as he can go, I should say. As we go through Sayat and down the hill, there is a little bit of elevation change at this circuit for these cars. They'll compress at the bottom and now brake for the left-hander revert.
Trangrade drifted a little bit wide there through that turn number 7 complex. Let's see about turn number 9 right here, right on the racing line. But Rodriguez is using that corner exit acceleration to his advantage, but actually struggling a little bit down the straightaway. Now, one thing is you can change the gearing in these cars. I wonder if Rodriguez maybe doesn't have the right gear and now gets on the loud pedal a little bit too much. Trengrade going to look down to the inside.
Differential definitely not in the right position. Look at how many times he's getting sideways off the corner. It just does not want to behave. Trengrade's going to try and use that to his advantage, and he is through. Nice move by the 11. Oh, and contact behind him between Rodriguez and Plumlee. They'll get away with it, though.
And then this fight is still going on. Koundelis has yet to give up the position. I noticed in the last couple laps, Kevin Verbruggen has taken a look down into what is that kind of turn number 5 corner here. I think he's got a little bit of a better run through turn 3, like we see right now, is able to force Koundelis onto that wide line through this corner right here. Once again, pops the nose. Let's see if he can maybe actually make the move here in 5 this time.
He's keeping him honest. One other impressive thing about all this is we have to remember that Koundelis is doing this all with hand controls. He races from a wheelchair and has a special rig, and is doing this all without 2 of the limbs that everybody else around him are able to use, and is doing it to great effect. He's always been fast, and he's always impressed. Definitely an inspiration. So if you've been thinking, I don't know if I can get into sim racing, yes, you can. There's all kinds of cool stuff that can make it accessible to just about anybody.
It is very awesome and especially motivational, right? Get out there and do what you love, and that's exactly what Arturus is doing. Not only doing what he loves, but he's up here fighting inside the top 5. One of the fastest competitors, one of the most fierce competitors, if anything, probably the toughest competitor here today around this Catalunya racetrack. I mean, how many people have we seen try to get by him? Nobody's gotten by him yet.
Whoa, and a mistake. And again, for the second time, a car behind making light contact after spinning. This time it's Verbruggen, and he'll get away with it. So will Koundelis. And not only has he survived all the attacks, everybody else behind him essentially hasn't. It's Tyler and Tixier who've caught back up to him, keeping the fight on as Verbruggen carries on. Wow, Tixier's caught back up to him? Even with the damaged car, he's there, and he just passed Bill Tyler.
He is, and I gotta say that because of all of Arturus's fighting, his lap times are very good when he doesn't have any pressure behind him. But guess what? He has yet to have a pressure-free lap out here. So it's been a little bit of unorthodox racing lines, which doesn't always equate to the fastest lap time. 10.5 seconds between him and Mick Claridge, and as you said, everybody behind kind of catching up as well.
Rossi versus Salgado in the upper right hand of your screen in the picture-in-picture. That's for 21st position down there, but looks like Rossi's holding him off for now. So Seb Tixier, can he finally get his revenge? Can he finally do what he's been wanting to do and take at least 4th place? Not even a podium, we have to remember, that these drivers are fighting for, but you'd think this is for the win with how fierce this is.
What I'm going to love here, Joe, is that when these 4 cars start to fight it out, or I should say 5 cars, guess what? Xavier Sanchez, Jorge Nieva, and Nicola Kaki are only about 3 seconds back from this.
Wow. So this could get even more fun for them in a moment. Nieva was a part of that. Kaki was a part of that. Verbruggen's not too far behind them. So yeah, this could all back up once again. And Koundelis, to his credit, yes, he's a bit a ways from the top 3. It's about 11 seconds. But it's not like he's outrageously slow. He's just slow enough. And that in the background was Kaki. This is a move up the inside from Seb Tixier. It hasn't worked in the past. Has he learned something different this time? Keep his nose in there, be able to take the inside away, maybe. He does. He's got the overlap coming up through Renault, and this uphill climb around the corner will give him finally maybe the opportunity to get 4th place away, but deep on the brakes. Koundelis, too deep on the brakes. He goes way too wide, tries to fight back, and again, use that shot off around the outside, but look, Seb learned. He covers him off immediately, and a move back to the race lane almost puts Koundelis into the side of Tyler. This time it's Seb Tixier who goes too deep into the corner as well. He opens the door once again. Is he going to give it right back up as soon as he got it? Yes, he did.
Got a chuckle to myself, and now Seb finally does the over-under. Can he clear Arturus before this fast turn 9. He has to leave room, which is not good. He puts the throttle down on exit. He might have finally secured 4th place position, as Bill Tyler is now the one that is going to attack that lime green number 8. We'll see if Seb Tixier can actually run away or if Koundelis can make this pass back.
You know what I love about that is that Seb really was doing things differently from what he did before. That was some clever driving from him to kind of use Arturus against himself in a way, and finally got inside where he needed to be at the right time. Now he tries to run away, but remember, he's going to have a compromised straight line speed here coming down the main straight.
Oh, and he had a big wiggle on the throttle pedal coming out of turn number 13 as well, but I just don't think that Arturus has the straight line speed. If anything, it's that white and blue number 13 that's taking a look down to the inside here in turn number 1. Koundelis has proven why he's so good at defending that position. Joe, did you see how deep he got into turn number 1 there and still kept it on the line?
That's impressive every time he does that. Back to current reigning champion Jorge Nieva, trying to get back into the top 10. That's John Olsen just in front of him. These two have fought a number of times in the past. Around the outside, maybe he's got a very good run. Olsen, is he actually defending? Well, it's kind of half-hearted. It looks like he might be. He sends it into Repsol as hard as he can, but he's not holding back Nieva, who's back to 10th.
Shows the nose there a little bit into turn number 5. Just keep Nieva honest. Remember, that's where Nieva made his big-time mistake earlier in the race, but finally clears John Olsen there for a top 10 as we get a replay. Oh, what happened to Nicola Kaki back here?
Is this off the final corner we saw him? No, this is coming down into Sayat. Oh, well.
Had a good view.
Yeah, trying to figure out who that was, but really just punted somebody off into the runoff of that same corner that has seen multiple problems out there in this race. So Koundelis, Bill Tyler got by him already. My goodness, that was fast.
Yeah, you know, I'm just noticing that myself here, and I'm going to go back, see exactly where that happened. You know what, Joe? It was finally a mistake out of Arturus through kind of that 7-8 complex, just got off of the racing line. Bill Tyler took advantage, but now here comes the attack back.
Let's see what he can do. Here is that mistake, I think, on the replay. Yeah, just left the door open into Campsa, and that's going to allow his rival through. Not able to retake it down into turn 1, at least this time. I mean, regardless, I feel like that drive deserves a pat on the back for Arturus.
100%.
This was just something to behold. Even if he winds up at the back of this group, he did an incredible job. He took this down to, 6 or 5 laps to go by the time he finally cracked.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're here at 4 laps to go, so is the previous lap that Tyler finally got by him, and Seb Tixier the lap before. And I think that if we had one of those voting systems, right, like F1 does, driver of the day, I think that Arturus would clearly take it. I mean, he's pretty much battled every single driver on the racetrack to this point.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's not just he's been up against one person. Everybody has entered the ring and left with their tail between their legs up until these latest two who have finally managed to come back after multiple attempts and get it done. Down into the braking, Tyler's still under threat. He may have gotten by, but I don't know if that's going to stay that way, although a little deep there from the 8 car now allows Leo Sequeiro to get almost to the back of him. There's Bill Tyler in the number 13 coming up hill through Bonk Sabadell.
And just as you had mentioned Leo Sequeira, he actually almost got into the back of Koundelis here. We had been mentioning how good Koundelis is on that outside line, being able to put the power down and accelerate out of the corners, but you got to be slow going into it, and it was Sequeira that almost misjudged that. Thankfully, no contact between the two, but these 5 now separated by, call it 2 or 3 car lengths apiece.
Gary Ho with some side-by-side on replay in the upper right hand of your screen. Is he going to have to give up a spot here? I think that might be Ove Trangrade battling him down through Repsol, and that's seen a lot of similar battles where car on the inside becomes the car on the outside, and defending car able to hold him off. Nope, not when you go that deep out into the kitty litter, and that will definitely give it up for Gary Ho. But in all this, the other thing worth mentioning is you might notice on our tower that Zamaloa is still within about 0.3 of a second. We're down to 3 laps to go. So I wonder if he'll get a little desperate as John Olsen versus looks like Nieva, a little bit of a fight. No, Verbruggen rather, for 11th position.
Yeah, this is Verbruggen, like you said, on the back of the white and blue number 17 here. I'm sorry, miscolored there. Verbruggen is in the light blue car. And remember, Kevin had that mistake through that final corner, turn number 13, so he's still recovering right here. Let's see if he sends it up the inside of Olsen. Not quite the opportunity that he was looking for this corner.
No, just a little bit too far back. It has been interesting watching how difficult it is to pass, but not impossible, and certainly has given us quite a few battles
It's
throughout.
been great.
Yeah, side by side has been incredible today. If he stays this close, he's got a good shot coming into turn 1. Let's see what kind of run he gets off the final turn.
You had kind of mentioned the DRS train or the dirty air that can really affect this place. You see, I think it's Nieva going to pass Sanchez directly in front. It is Verbruggen deep in the slipstream here of John Olsen. There goes Nieva popping out to driver's right. Doesn't get the pass done, but Verbruggen here does manage to get by John Olsen. They're still side by side, but I expect Kevin to clear him right here in 2.
Yep, that'll give Kevin's 11th place for now. If Nieva and Sanchez keep battling, that'll give them a chance to catch up pretty quickly. And in fact, they will battle. Big defense from Heike 360. Nieva's going to try and go the long way around. If he can hang tough, he'll have the inside into Seat. Remember, I was just mentioning this not long ago, and indeed he will. He's got a little bit of overlap. He's very shallow into the corner, though, and the job is not done. Good acceleration from the number 10 coming off the corner, but he's on the wrong side of the track down into Vert. Don't think this is going to work out. No, it will. Wow, great job from Xavier. He's going to hold on to that 9th spot.
And Nieva just kept the car very, very narrow there in turn number 7, and it really affected his run. But now full defensive from Sanchez on driver's left. Nieva's going to try the longest way around here. He gets down to the racing line. This one might actually work. I think the number 3 car is already on the gas. He's got the 9th place position.
2 Spaniards fighting for pride at their home track here. And coming around out of the corner, it is going to be Nieva, as you said, who holds the upper hand. But the white flag is out for our leaders. Zamaloa has dropped off to almost a second now. Valenteus responding. In fact, the only battle we've got in the top 10, it looks like currently, is between Tyler and Kundelis within 0.2 of a second. And Kundelis gives a go at Tyler down into turn 1, but he's on the wrong side of the track and a little too far back.
See if he can maybe force that white and blue number 13 just slightly off of the racing line. Remember, you don't need to completely put him out in the marbles, but half a car width is sometimes all you need to start that back and forth on the over-unders. But Arturis, once again, in really, really deep there in turn number 4. It seems like ever he got behind somebody, he might be overdriving the entry a little bit, which is the complete opposite of what he was doing before.
Exactly. And on our picture-in-picture, we've got Valenteus trying to wrap this one up with a 3rd win in a row. Didn't get to take the opening race as there was a little bit of contact that cost him there with Togo Hisada, but he has rebounded with incredible style since then. In fact, he's coming around the last few corners now, just 2 to go. And Zamaloa, he should be proud. He kept him honest all the way to the end, didn't allow Andreas to make a mistake, but he didn't. He did not crack under the pressure, and he's going to be rewarded with a win here in round 4.
Got the pass done on lap number 2 and never looked back, even though he had pressure. McClarridge, a little bit of a lonely race, but we'll finish on the podium here in 3rd place. And then comes Seb Tixier. I don't think it was necessarily the finish that he wanted. He's not happy unless he's on top, but it's the comeback drive to really start the season that he needed.
And I tell you what, Kundelis had Sequeiro ahead of him going into the final corner and still came back and beat him to the line. He was defending literally to the end of this race. Trangarade maybe a little bit frustrated how this race went for him, slamming it to the inside wall after the start-finish line. And Gary Ho making contact. I think that was Cocky maybe that he came into.
Can you imagine that in the motion break, Joe? Spinning out at 160.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit scary there. Bruno Santamaria going to be among some of our last drivers on the lead lap. We'll see 24 of our 27 managed to finish on the lead lap. In fact, I think Juan Rodriguez was only a lap down because he had a penalty right at the end, a black flag that he had to serve, with Steve Morris being the last of them there in 24th, which will take us to our results for this race. Valenteus gets his third win of the season for the Grand Prix Legend Series, continuing his lead in the points. Zamaloa will be second today, and Mick Claridge continues to be the only driver to finish on the podium in every single race so far, with a third place again. Tixier for fourth, up from 11th, as Bill Tyler finished in a P5, and then Koundalis an impressive 6. Even though he went down, he showed that he might have qualifying pace, but he's also got good racecraft. Leo Sequeiro, 7th, was then followed by Guardia in P8, Nieva in 9th today, and Sanchez rounds out your top 10.
Then in 11th is Kevin Verbruggen. He had quite a busy race and quite honestly was one of the fastest cars out there. Just a little bit of a mistake in that final corner was the reason why he's so far down the order here in 11th. John Olsen with a good run to finish in 12th. Trengrade, like you said, maybe not happy with the result, but up 6 positions to finish in 13th. Gaki was another one that slipped down through the order here to finish in 14th. He's going to want to look towards next week. Gary Ho finishing in 15th. Jason Clapper, our biggest mover, up 11 positions to finish 16th. Robert Plumley, 17th. Aku Liski back here, 18th. Jack Wells, 19th. And Marco Salgado rounding out the top 20.
Well, David Rossi finished in 21st, Bruno Santamaria 22nd, and John Pethick in the 23rd spot. Then it's Steve Morris, P24. We mentioned Rodriguez with a late penalty, round up 25th. Hannah Fechner, a DNF, and Togo Hisada, the only 2 DNFs that we had in this race, despite the fierce battling that we had out there. And one of the drivers involved in that battle was Seb Tixie. I'm going to let Joey have the honors of chatting with Seb here.
Hey, Seb, you got us on comms?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, got you loud and clear. It seemed like you had your hands full this race, and then once you finally shot off the nose cone out of that Spitfire, you got some speed.
Yeah, Spitfire, good. It was on purpose. It's a new technology because I'm quite good at braking, but I wanted to brake even more. More braking, but braking great again. So with more drag, you can brake more brake.
You're always one step ahead, Seb.
Yeah, new technology, Alliance differential. Yeah, you need to try new things because it seems that I can't qualify properly this season. So more work for me during the race. Yeah.
I will gotta say though that picture of Mick in front of you is rather realistic. He was 13 seconds up the road from you?
Yeah, and even you. So not sure if it's realistic because you're also in front of me.
Seb, I love having you racing. So let's get a little bit more serious. What did you think of today's race? I know you had your hands full, but finally a decent finishing position for you here this season.
Yeah, it was quite fun. I saw that it was quite heated in front with Arturos, Nico, Kevin. Kevin was very aggressive. So at some point, it was like a free wide on the front straight. I said, yeah, nope, not for me. I will wait. And it was a good choice. And after that, it seems that because I was staying behind a bit, maybe my tire was less overheated at the end and I could manage to get away a little bit.
Well, Seb, I just want to say thank you for coming out and racing. And whoever's watching out there, if you're curious about racing these vintage cars, come and join because these are the drivers that are in the community. Not only are they cutthroat in terms of how fast they are, but you get to race against some of the most fun guys out there in sim racing. Seb, Mick, Nieva, all of these guys out here are tons of fun to race with. So, Seb, thank you for making this what it is.
Thank you.
That was Seb Tixier just finishing off the podium in 4th place today, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you how welcoming the community is. And the same thing with Mick Claridge, who finished third today. Mick, I had said that you're the only driver to finish on the podium in every race so far. I mean, is that at least a little bit of consolation, even though you haven't had a win this season? Because that's impressive consistency with how fierce the fighting is.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, well, it's only been 3 races, but I can't even remember who I am most of the days. But yeah. I've only come in here, Joe, to ask you how the race went, because I got no idea, mate. It was just boring as anything, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, you were kind of on your own, and even Joey had mentioned that at the end that it seemed a little lonely for you. It's all good. I mean, that said, did you have a chance to look at your F3 box, your relative box, because behind you it was pretty exciting.
Do you know what? I have to say, I was thinking about this. I mean, when I did qualifying, I took a bit out of the diff because the car was so scary on the power. I was using Kevin's setup, and I took a bit out of the diff, and that's why I got such a good qualifying lap, because the track was horrendous, you know. So I knew, maybe I had a feeling that most of the guys were going to struggle behind me, like the Jorge, Kevin, Nick, and all those guys have been so fast this week. And then Arturas comes out of nowhere, and never seen him all week. He's not even practiced, and sticks it behind me. And I was like, wow, where did that come from? And then it was just following me for ages. And then he just seemed to make a few mistakes. And then, I was watching it. Because I didn't have really much to watch in front. So I was watching it. I can't wait to watch it back. It looks great. Am I right in saying Togo just barrel rolled into the crowd? Was it Togo? Yeah.
It was,
okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. That was actually a bit of a wild one, because I think it was Nieva, or I'm trying to remember who it was. Someone slid across. Yeah.
Right.
Slid across the track, hit Kundalis. Kundalis hit Togo, and that sent him off. So it was a bit of a shame.
It's been close times, you know. It's been really close. It should have been a fight, you know, up front with about 4, 5, 6 guys, you know. It was a shame it got split up like it did, you know. And really, I was so lucky to get third. I should have been behind all of them. So, yeah, it has been a good day for me. And really, the way I feel this week is perfect to just have a boring race in the middle of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, for round 5, we go to the Saxon Ring, which is a newer one. Are you going to show up for that? Can you keep it up spraying the champagne?
I'm gonna show up. I haven't got the track. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if it's a twisty. I don't know if it's got a long straight. I just got no idea. So yeah, I'll be buying it and giving it hell on toast, mate.
It's short, twisty, and hilly. So
brilliant.
Yes,
my favorite kind of track.
I was going to say very, very British track. Then in that case,
right? Yeah.
Well, again, congratulations! An impressive run this season, and hopefully we'll continue to get to talk to you.
Cheers, mate. Let me just say hello to everyone who's watching. There's far too many because I'm so famous these days, as you know, Joe. So hello to everyone watching. And bye. See you later. I'm off.
Mick Claridge, as humble as ever, as we close up for today. And a big thank you, honestly, to everybody within the community for coming back and bringing us on for another season of coverage. And also to the team today, Joey, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Like we said, next time out, the Saxon Ring. I think that'll be the first time this series has gone there. That'll be Saturday, January 18th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Up next today, though, the IMSA Vintage Series goes to Hockenheim. That'll be at noon Eastern. Though, be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here, because until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.